And welcome to Season 1, Episode 6, I believe. All the episodes are kind of running together. I believe this is Episode 6. You can probably see in the title of this video. But welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to be doing the biggest Minecraft build I've ever done. I've done lots of anti-builds, and by that I mean digging. But this one is actually going to be building something up. So we will run over to my base, and I'll show you how I've been collecting resources for that, and then we'll hop into the build. But first, we're going to do a little bit of shopping here at Yo Junk My Problem. And we got to take all of these, and I think that's going to fill up my bundle. And that is my shopping trip. So thanks for joining me. Bit of a disappointment, to be honest. But them's the rubs, or whatever they say. Alright, so before we start this big build, I'm actually going to show you how we've been collecting resources for this build. So the first part of that, so we're collecting stone, and we don't have a silk touch pickaxe yet. So we've got this lava here, because it's a great source of fuel for our furnaces, so that we can smelt the cobblestone into stone. So you can see here, we've got hoppers feeding the fuel into the furnaces, and then we've got hoppers feeding the cobblestone into the furnaces, and then the stone into the chest. And you may say, oh, what about a smelter, or whatever the super smelter thing is, or the smoker, but neither one of those, as it turns out, work for cobblestone, for turning cobblestone into stone. So we had to go with the furnace. So that worked for a while for the resources I already had, but it was kind of slow, and I had to do, a lot of mining for cobble. So what I came up with was this, where we have water on the left side, and then we have lava underneath. And we have just enough time with this diamond pick, typically, to mine all three, and then they get reformed. And you'll probably notice there's some hoppers beneath. So if we zoom around, we'll see these hoppers feed directly into the furnace, which has lava being fed in from the back, and then it drops stone down here. So down at the very bottom is where all the stone goes. And then we just, on a regular interval, have to refill these hoppers with lava, which we have the lava farm, so that's easy enough. Don't even need to go to the nether. So that's how we've been collecting a lot of stone. And then, of course, collecting dirt just by digging. And I think that's pretty much all we have to go over. And now it's time to hop into the build. As you can guess by the context clues, this is where the time-lapse would go, but as you can probably guess by the lack of time-lapse, I actually lost the time-lapse when it got exported from replay mod. So not just when it got exported from the video, but when it got exported by replay mod. So it's fully lost and no way to recover it. So here I'm showing off the mountain before and after, and then, yeah, that's what it looks like. So that 5 hours that I spent building this thing, all I have left to show is the mountain, which, is great. Would be nice to have that replay. This mountain took about 16 to 18,000 stone blocks to build, and about 4 or 5 hours. And to put that in perspective, that's 5 or 6, yeah, that's like 6 double chests of stone. And I don't have silk touch, so all that stone also had to be smelted in the smelter that you saw earlier. Once I've got the mountain finished up, I'm going to go ahead and make a little living space, a little green living space here for some villagers. And this is going to be a monastery. So here we can see I've got kind of the big main building of the monastery, and then I'll add on a couple other buildings as well, along with, of course, a little outdoor area and a garden. All in all, this little monastery has 3 buildings, and I'll walk you through them after the end of this time lapse. Alright, so now we have our massive mountain built, and we have a little monastery set up on top of the mountain. And you can see back in the distance behind me, we have at least 1 villager, and actually we have a few villagers. And what does a monastery need? It needs some monks. This guy, not a monk yet, but this guy, I think the librarians look kind of monk-like, so obviously you need to decorate the interior a little bit more. There's this monk, and then there's another monk who usually chills out around here. Yep, there he is, doing his monk things. as monks do. So we've got this little hilltop area set up, little monastery. And one thing that I think we need to do is the top of the mountain looks fine. It would be nice if we had some snow. And I'll go ahead and be honest here. Unfortunately, we don't have snow on the server yet because we do have a restricted play area. We're playing in a, was it 500 by 500 or I think it's 1000 by 1000 area. You can see spawn over there. Pretty nice. But I think it would be cool if there was snow on the top of our mountain, and like I mentioned, we don't have actual snow yet, but what we do have is wool and carpet. So I'm going to go ahead and toss down some wool and carpet and see how that looks. And this is what we have so far after adding some snow. I think it looks good. I think it could look better. Could use some more touch-ups. Unfortunately, I'm out of wool and carpet for the time being, so I'll have to go collect some more. I have some sheep out there somewhere. You can't see them because they're out of the entity render distance, but I can add some more wool or carpet once I have some more of that. But let's actually run down to the bottom and see how it looks from the bottom. Before we run down to the bottom, I gotta say I love the lights in the distance. So those lights are nice, but the lights back towards the spawn area, the little path, the bridges, and then the spawn area, I think that looks amazing. But let's hop to the bottom and see what this thing looks like from the ground. And let's take a look and see how it looks from the bridge. So I think it looks good with the snow on top. I think it could use a little bit more snow. Maybe more snow further down too. So I'm out of wool at the moment, but once I get more wool and carpet, I'll definitely add some more wool up towards the top of that. But overall, I think it does look good. I think it does add something to have the snow up at the top of that mountain. And you may be wondering why I'm building this big old mountain and this monastery. And the reason is because I want a place for these librarians to live, because librarians sell enchanted books. So if I run over to this librarian who's in here, you'll see that he sells a Respiration 3 book, which helps you breathe or hold air for longer underwater if you add this enchantment to a helmet. And each librarian sells a different enchanted book. So I'm going to get a lot of librarians and buy lots of different enchanted books from them and then open a bookstore in town. So the next step, now that we have this mountain, we have the little monastery with the librarians living inside of it, is to start working on building a library back in spawn. Alright, well over the past few weeks the spawn area has been growing very nicely. Got a lot of shops here, and now it's time to add another shop. This one is going to be for the books that we just found a good way to collect. So without further ado, we'll hop into building a little bookshop. As you can see, I laid out a few bricks, or planks as it is, to mark out the borders of this shop. And I wanted to make it very non-square because as you look around the spawn area, there are a lot of buildings. They're very nice, but they are very square, and typically what I build tends to be square because I'm not as good at building those creative aesthetic buildings. So I went ahead to mark out a non-square shop right off the bat. And then I added some stone brick walls, kind of goes in line with a lot of other shops here in the spawn area. And I used walls and blocks to add a little bit more texture. Walls tend to be pretty thick in Minecraft because they're, you know, a meter thick if you were to correlate that with human size, which is pretty thick for a wall. But the stone wall, as in the block, not the concept, is much thinner than a block. So I feel like it tends to feel a little bit nicer. And I really like how the roof turned out too, with multiple layers, as well as the inside, which has multiple layers. Alright, and one of the things I want inside the library are some little potted flowers, and fortunately, Art Kid Money over here has a shop that sells terracotta, and among other things, and clay bricks, which is what I need to make pots, I believe. So, it looks like the price for 12 items is 16 sand blocks or 24 flowers. So I have some flowers here. I'm going to pop in 24 of those flowers for some bricks. And what do I need to get rid of here? So with these bricks, I should be able to make some flower pots and then toss some flowers in them inside the library. So I'm not super good at decorating interiors yet. Definitely a skill I'm working on. You can see I've got some trapdoors on the side to add some texture. Of course, I have the chisel bookshelves because that fits right into the bookstore, because I'll be putting enchanted books on those and selling them. Got the carpet, and then, well, that's about it. Let's go ahead and make some of these bad boys. And I want to toss some over here. And let's see. There we go. And let's toss one up here. And grab some flowers and toss in there. Add a little pinch of color as I add a white flower. But yeah, I think that looks nice. Gives a little bit of pop of color, a little bit of texture inside here. So we'll take it. All right, so now that our bookshop is built, and Jace also built a building, which you saw next to the bookshop, we're going to go ahead and update the map so that all this stuff shows up. And it'll kind of add a little bit more stuff around this southwest side of Spawn, which is pretty bare. So those little white dots, that's 0, 0. And as you can tell, everything's kind of to the northeast of that. So we just, about time to change that. You want to update it, Jace?
Oh, yeah. We're going to pre-plan this and follow.
Oh, yeah, this is... My last video, I fell a few times trying to get that when I was updating the map for my base.
There it is. Do you have to move?
Just like that. Well, that was kind of a...
As exciting as it can get.
Yep. Looks like we still need to make some more stuff around the south. I really like the look of the greenhouse on this map. Looks very interesting. Look at you with your diamond pickaxe.
Oh, yeah. I'm on my second one today.
If only someone would add more inventory to the Lux store.
If only people kept stock.
Yeah. And we'll also show off our finished up How Enchanting bookstore. So this is what it looks like now after adding some decoration both inside and outside. You can see some bookcases inside. I really wanted it to be visible as a bookstore from the outside. I'm going to make a little bit longer video, I'll probably call it episode 6.5 or 6.5 to give a more in-depth walkthrough of this store. But as you can see, toss some shrubbery, toss some grass, some flowers outside just to touch it up. As I've mentioned before, aesthetic things are not really my specialty, so trying to get better at that this season. As we come inside, again, we've got some pots up top. We've got the books. You can see we've got a few different sections where we're selling these enchanted books based on the item in the item frame there. Got some pots in here. Got lots of different depth of the wall, which really gives some depth to the room, makes it feel more full. And then, of course, the kind of multi-tiered floor level is something that I really like. And then the colors on the ground gives it a lot more than just, say, a stone or a single color floor. So overall, very happy with how it turned out. Definitely recommend watching my episode 6.5 to get a more in-depth look into this little shop. And that's going to be it for this episode. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to give it a like so that more people will see it. I'm not really sure what next episode is going to look like. Probably going to be building a pathway up to the monastery, wrapping around the mountains. So if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss it. And as always, if you have a suggestion for something I should build, leave it down in the comment section below. As always, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.